welcome to what is going to be the very first edition of the Pokepals Poke Podcast. I am your host, the illustrious PokeMush, the mush who them on. I am flanked with two very lovely guests and co-hosts of this illustrious and hopefully beautifully grown podcast, talking all about things from the wonderful world of Pokemon. To my right, and then my further right, we have got Edward, the strongest man in Pokemon. There's a golf clap that I'll edit in over the top of that one. And to my farthest right, the man that moans with the biggest bone in the zone, it is Tone. Hello, Tone, how are we?
What's going on, guys? I am very, very good, thank you. How are you both?
Very excited. Edward, please tell me about how beautiful your day was.
Oh, it's absolutely stunning. Nipped out earlier today to pick out some sun loungers. Spent a bit of the afternoon in the garden. Work laptop on the go. Tunes playing. Nice way to spend a cheeky little Wednesday.
If you work with Ed and you're watching this, he does work from his desk from 9 to 5. There is a big, I think, hole that I'm going to fill now with an introduction that every Friday for the last while, we've always been live on Instagram. We go live every Friday at 8:30 p.m. from my Instagram. All the links will be down in the descriptions below. And we get into some quite heated discussions and conversations about our love for the hobby that is TCG collection within the world of Pokemon and things from the outer world of Pokemon. And there is a hole in our community for something not more serious, but more serious, I think is the best way to describe it. And myself and my two lovely co-hosts here have definitely had the back and forth for a while about getting this kind of thing started. And it's been a really long time coming. And trust me, we've put a lot of thought and effort into this one. And it is our astute pleasure to bring you what is going to be the first ever episode of the Pokepals Poke Podcast. It is a tongue twister. Try not to say it 5 times fast, because honestly, I struggle every time that we do it. So thank you, first of all, from me to you two for joining me on this wondrous journey of conversation about all things to do with shiny cardboard. There is going to be some recurring themes that we're going to bring back every week. There are going to be guests that we're going to introduce further down the line. Eventually, we will start up our very own Instagram page to go alongside the podcast. But for now, you can enjoy us here live and in living colour for the next however long it takes us to discuss all of the wonderful things about Pokemon. And before we do get going, do you want to give yourselves a little spiel about each other? So, Ed, we'll start with you, because obviously, Ed, you've got your own YouTube channel. And you're already doing bits on YouTube and on Instagram, so if you want to give us 30 seconds about your wonderful self, because I already know that you can fold a frying pan in half, so they might as well know some more.
Well, I mean, how do I follow that? So, I'm Ed, I am the Poke Strongman. I chose that name as, outside of being a Pokemon collector and all-round nerd, I am actually an amateur strongman. I've done things like lifting cars, Atlas stones, truck pulls, bending frying pans live on video, and I am aiming to merge my two loves of nerdy stuff and weightlifting, bringing in some challenges such as lifting the booster pack, lifting weights of Pokemon, and all around just being a bit of a goofy person in the gym, not just the Pokemon ones. You can find my stuff on YouTube where I do pack unboxings, reviews, and in the future some gym challenges as well.
Lovely. And if by any chance you are out there and you have had a dented frying pan or struggling with any kitchen utensil that needs reshaping, please do forward them to Ed and he will bend them back into shape for you. I will never ever, honestly, I'll never let go of the fact that you can just fold a frying pan at bloody will.
So with so much ease as well.
Yeah, it's like I could pick up this piece of paper and go, yes, and that's how you fold a frying pan. So, you know, please make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe everything on Ed's channel, or he'll come round and fold all of your cutlery and other utensils. Tone, obviously, you used to be a Whatnot streamer, now turned into Instagram mogul, I will call you, because I think you are a little bit of a dabbler in every group that's within our community, and everybody's got nothing but beautiful, lovely things to say about you. I myself have had wonderful experiences with you joining me on the live stream and conversations we've had outside of it. So do you also want to give us 30 seconds about your beautiful self?
Yeah, so I'm Tone Zone. A lot of people have known me from, like you said, various different ventures. I jump on a lot of people's Insta lives just because I love to open packs and I love to have fun. I joined the hobby back in 2023 in September after taking a lovely 19-year gap out of it, and started with all my classic cards that I found in a loft. Dabbled in whatnot, and took a big step back from that for reasons that we will find out soon. But no, focusing more on the Instagram and just enjoying the community, really, and just enjoying collecting again.
It's yeah, I think you kind of say what all of us want to say as well. For me, I didn't get back into TCG collection until August 2024. So I've only been back in a very brief time. I've been very lucky that I played all the games and have kept up fairly well with everything that goes on in the world of Pokemon. I just never ever kept any of the cards that I collected as a kid. I'm pretty sure my mum sold the binder at a car boot once randomly on a rainy Sunday and probably got a fiver for a base set Charizard. And it's been a really positive experience being back in the collection community. There's not too much negative. For me personally, in experience-wise, I've had lovely experiences with everyone I've met. I've been gracious enough to meet your two lovely selves and a lot of other people that we share in our group chat and in our community. Negatively, only a few niggly little bits here and there, which again, it's neither here nor there for me. I've seen lots of negative stuff that I will definitely join in with Tone and having a little bit of a rant and a rave about later on, but that's neither here nor there. Now, obviously, I am Arbok's biggest fan. I've collected all the Arboks. I will collect all the Arboks that are to come. I'm a big Poison type fan. Ed, who is your favourite Pokemon?
It's got to be Gengar for me. I love the little purple devil himself, the sort of mischievous side to him, the absolute just his whole presentation is just incredible, and it's been like that since I was a kid.
Now, Tone, in comparison to Ed, yours, I think as well, in comparison to Ed, I have one that's a bit out there and not a lot of people think is a favourite. But yours is very out there, and there are a lot of people that will probably judge you quite heavily. So let's get that out the way now. So, Tone, who is your favourite Pokemon?
I've got two. Both of them are very equal. Everyone says you've got to have a favourite. I have two. I'll argue that fact forever. And I've got this boy here and this boy up here. I love Squirtle, and I absolutely adore Unknown. For some unknown reason that no one seems to fathom, I love the letters.
I think the hard thing is that you say you've got two favourites, but actually you've got 27 for the 26 Unknown and a Squirtle. So it's definitely an odd one. I think is obviously you get into the, like, if you were to do like top 5, everyone has like a few that will be dotted around, and I know 90% of the people will say Charizard, and to which I say get in the bin.
Nope.
Yeah, just not interested in that flappy red muppet. But it's interesting when you gather a few people within our society or our community and you ask them about what their favourite is, the vast difference that you can find in what people find as a favourite. Like I really like Squirtle, not a big fan of the Charizard line. I don't really care for Charmander or Charmeleon. The Bulba line, however, because it's got that poison typing, I'm there for it. But we'll get into more of these things as we go down the line, and it's something that I want to bring up for our first segment when it comes to collecting. Is we're going to talk about the glory of Team Rocket. Now, is Team Rocket glorious? Is Team Rocket a cash grab? Have they taken over the Goldenrod Tower? There are many questions that we have to ask when it comes to Team Rocket. I myself haven't touched any of it. I have many cards that are big chases. Nidoking, Crobat. I absolutely love the Wobbuffet. Very lucky that a friend of ours in the group chat, ET Pokemon Collection, had a spare of it. So shout out Elliot. Thank you very much for getting one across to me. But I'm really waiting for Destined Rivals. When it comes to the glory of Team Rocket, I haven't got any. None of my local card shops have managed to stock any. I haven't gone too far afield because I do live in a village. Have either of you guys, and we'll start with Ed and then go on to Tone, have either of you managed to get hold of much of it yourself, or have you just been gifted it, or have just left it alone?
I've actually left it alone currently because I am fully intent on master setting Destined Rivals upon release. I think I will definitely be picking up at least a few of the cards in Japanese from the glory of Team Rocket at a later date, sort of waiting on that Japanese price crash that always happens following the English equivalent release. Particularly the Nidokings in this set are just phenomenal in my opinion. The fact that it's an action shot
awesome.
hitting Earthquake,
Awesome.
got Giovanni in the background. it's just an absolutely stunning card. I think they absolutely nailed it, and it's very reminiscent of the original Team Rocket artwork, which, again, what a set that was. So, big fan of that. We'll be getting it at some point, but for now, I'm happy to bypass Japanese temporarily and await the English release.
I think that's how I feel about it at the moment. Like you say, there are many chasers, and the Nidoking and the Crobat for me. The Crobat for me is up the top. It takes over everything. The Crobat SIR is phenomenal, and it's a Pokemon that I love. Again, another poison type. Yes, I am predictable. That and Nidoking, phenomenal. I really like the Wobbuffet. There's a few other cards down the line that are great. Tone, yourself, have you got any, gifted any, wanted any?
So yeah, no, you guys know me. I'm more of an English collector. I'll grab a couple of Japanese if I like them or if I see them cheap. But I am strongly awaiting the Destined Rivals set to be released. I've luckily sorted myself a pre-order. So shout out to Binderful for that, for managing to sort me out something. And as for the cards, I'm looking forward to. And do not hate me, Mush, but I really like the Ho-Oh card. Ethan's Ho-Oh, it's a stunner. The one where he's looking up in the sky, I think it's a great card. I've always been Ho-Oh over Lugia, so for me, yeah, it's a great card. Again, that's one of my hot takes. And again, simply the Psyduck, the Misty and Psyduck card for me, I think is a stunner. So that's
I think with
chasing.
I can't. This thing with obviously Japanese sets to make up one English set. A lot of Heatwave Arena I adore, absolutely adore, and I say as you say Ho-Oh over Lugia. Everyone's allowed to be wrong at least once a day. I have to say, although I'm not a Ho-Oh boy, I'm a Lugia lad forever and a day. That card has grown on me massively, and I think that I spend more of that time enjoying the Ho-Oh card than I do disliking it now. Misty's Lapras and Misty's Psyduck are two that I think again are phenomenal. I've got one from Poker Chris, the man who has the hottest hands in the country, so shout out Chris, coming, which is the Electrike full art, which again I think is phenomenal, and it's a Pokemon that doesn't get enough love.
Been ruined for me though, unfortunately.
Don't ruin it for me now. Don't ruin it for me now. Just be quiet.
He looks like he's doing his business in the grass. Is what it looks like.
Brilliant. Well, that was the first episode of the podcast, everyone.
First card of a Pokemon pooping.
Well, it can't get any worse than a slimy bit of poisonous sludge looking upskirt out of a drain. So, it can't be the end of the universe. Obviously, with the glory of Team Rocket releasing a lot of the bigger art rares that are coming into Destined Rivals, I wonder, is my favourite, and I've said it already so far, is the Crobat. It's the Crobat. Again, it's the Crobat. If you weren't aware, come closer. It's the Crobat. I love the Crobat. But is there a card that's coming into Destined Rivals from the glory of Team Rocket side that either of you are desperate to get hold of?
I think for me, it's absolutely got to be the Nidoking. That is going to be an absolute top chase for me. I love Kaijus. The whole Nidoking and Nidoqueen line. I think they're fantastic, and it's so nice to see. I'm going to say a bit of an out there Pokemon actually get the spotlight for a change, because how many sets have we had where it's a Charizard, a Blastoise, or these recurring Pokemon again and again? And I know not a lot of people even say some of the Rocket inclusions are a bit strange, like the fact that they've given Clamperl a spotlight, but I absolutely love that.
I think that card's great. I think that card's great. I'm going to stand by it. It's a great card.
It's an absolutely stunning card, and as well, 100%. That can make Clamperl a kid's new favourite Pokemon, because they've seen a stunning piece of art, and it just opens it up more of the Pokédex up to an audience that previously it's just oh, who's your favourite Pokemon? Oh, it's Pikachu or Charizard.
Yeah, I think there's, even my top three favourites are probably not everybody's favourite. I think maybe, my top three are Arbok, Skeezor, and Steelix, or Sizor. Don't hate me for saying it wrong. If I say it wrong, I apologise. But, maybe out of those three, Skeezor, Sizor is your favourite. But again, that's because as a kid, I was obsessed with Scyther from red, blue, and yellow. And as soon as you could get Sizor, Skeezor from Silver and Gold and Crystal, I was sold.
Yeah.
It was always in my team, and as soon as it was available in the game, so it's one of those ones as well that going into before Tone gives us his favourites, things like Weezing, Raticate, Murkrow, these are Pokemon that are staples in the games and the community that haven't had love for a long time. Like, I can't remember the last time I saw a good Raticate card. Like, before you go way, way back. And another one like the Orbeetle. So there are some beauties. Now, Tone, I hope I haven't ruined what your favourite is for
No,
this set. So
I agree with Strongman. I agree with Ed. It's got to be the Nidoking for me because again, I love the Nidoking, Nidoqueen lines. I'm a Kanto boy, and yeah, it's such a great card. Like, it's just awesome. So that's going to be one of my main chases as well.
I can't disagree with either of you. It's in my top three.
Such a good card.
One we discussed previously in a one of our many late night group chat conversations where you can't keep up after 30 seconds if you're not reading, was doing. Obviously, you've got Giovanni's Mewtwo and Giovanni's Nidoking, and then the Rocket admins and grunts with their Pokemon. Wouldn't it be amazing? And I wish they would do this, right? They do because obviously we did Gym Challenge years ago, and you got like Brock's Rhydon and Misty's Tentacruel, which is one of my all-time favourite vintage cards. Misty's Tentacruel. I don't know why. I think it's great.
Yeah.
Would be imagine doing Giovanni's Gym. So you had the Giovanni's Rhydon, Giovanni's Rhyhorn, Giovanni's Nidoking, Giovanni's Nidoqueen, and then Giovanni's Persian. Like as a 5-set SIR end to a. It would just be phenomenal.
Like a connecting card as well. Like it could be a connecting thing.
I've always wanted to have as a thing. So like a top down. How can I want it? I've got two cards here. Hang on. I'll try and see the idea of it. It's like two cards that would sit like this, right? Where it would be like Ash's Pikachu, and then Giovanni's Rhydon. But the cards connect together as if they're like facing each other across the battlefield. It would. I just think there are a few little things like because they did break cards years ago, or the split cards, and they were a really cool idea. Although a lot of the arts I think actually miss and don't hit like I think a lot of people say they do. There's little ideas like that I think would be really good. And in a set like this, with obviously Giovanni being the original villainous bad boy that we all got to experience. That's something that they should have hit on for me. And they missed it. And I'm really hurt by it. So, Pokemon, me and you right now, you've hurt me. Right? I don't get hurt often.
I would have, and I think you especially, Mush, would agree with me for the Pokemon reasons. I would have loved to seen a split, kind of like the Dealing and Swordsbuck and the Minun and Plusle cards. I would have loved to see a James's Weezing, a Jess's Arbok, boom boom.
I have been asking for this since January. No, actually, I've been asking for this since maybe November last year when I found out about the Rocket set. I know that they're not in the anime anymore, and obviously the cards keep up with the anime and the games, right? But
give us an ode to what we grew up with. Just that little bit of sprinkling. Would have been great.
I always thought as well, and again, Jesse and James with their Arbox and their Weezing would be a great connector, right? But I always thought what a cool play on the cards it would be to have Meowths, Jesse and James. Rather than Team Rocket's Meowth, have Meowths, Jesse and James. Like Meowth being the trainer and Jesse and James being the playable card. Now, I don't play TCG. Feel free to now hate me in the comments and tell me how I can't talk about collection when I don't play the game. You know, whatever. But that, for me, would be... Obviously, it'd be a trainer card. You can't, like, attack. And, like, Jesse can't use high jump kick. But I just thought it would be a really cool play on it. Because, obviously, in Journey Together, we've had, like, Hop Stub Wall and, you know, Hopzation and things like that. And End Zoroark, which I love. I love these trainer Pokemon crossovers. Like I said about Gym Challenge from back in the day, that's such a wonderful idea in a crossover. But have it the other way round. Have Meowth, Jesse...
To make it work for the TCG, there's nothing stopping like a supporter guard being named Meowth, Jesse and James. Because even in the anime, if you're going back to it, some of the smartest plans were done by Meowth. And he was regularly slapping them about saying that they're idiots. Yeah. So he definitely led a lot of their... let's say excursions, so it would have been really good to have that.
One
And you could even Sorry, Ed.
No, I
Go
was
on.
just going to say, similarly to that, if we wanted to really flip things on its head, and I know it's something that I've spoken about with you both in the group chat before, but when you think back to the first Pokemon movie and you actually had Mewtwo have his like cloned Pokemon, imagine having a set where that was like the whole theme. Like instead of Glory of Team Rocket,
Yes.
you have like literally call it Mewtwo Strikes Back as a set. It would be
Yeah. Mewtwo's
yeah,
Blastoise and
have
stuff
those
like
as the
that.
big
Yeah.
chases. Have like a
Yeah.
regular Charizard as like an art rare or illustration rare, but then have like Mewtwo's Charizard with the purple stripes and everything as like the SIR. Like I just think,
That would be a really good like side by side one as well. Like
Mm.
the final battle where it's
yeah,
everyone against
100%.
everyone. I would love to see the Ash's Pikachu, Mewtwo's Pikachu with the
Yeah.
slapping.
Oh,
Yeah.
Still to this day, right? As a near 32-year-old man, I cannot watch that scene without getting sad.
oh, 100%.
It's impossible. It's impossible. One of the most gut wrenching things to see as a child, especially when you're so engrossed in it.
I think as well. Like I recently went back and watched 1, 2, and 3. So Pokemon the movie 2000, then the one with the legendary dogs, where Entei is creepily a girl's dad. Still haven't quite got my head around that one, even as an adult, but I'm working with it. Leave it with me. But the line that Mewtwo spouts at the end, I can't quote it because I don't know it word for word, but the Mewtwo line at the end of the thing where he talks about how he's been taught how to live never hit me properly as a kid. And when you go back and listen to it now and as an adult,
Yeah.
boy, do I realise how much that movie actively shaped me in certain situations in life. So it's definitely something that I would love to see in the future. But would we ever get it? Probably not.
We'd probably get another Charizard.
I think, I don't want to go into the moan zone. That's for Tone, which we're about to step into. And as a segue point, I just want to say this. If Charizard is your favourite Pokemon, thank you for your service. The door is here. There is only so much. There is only so many times I can hear, Mewtwo, and then Charizard, and then this one, and then that one. It's like Mewtwo is legendary in its own status. It had a movie based on it, and it grew through the anime and became even more phenomenal. Charizard just got pushed to the moon. Charizard is the John Cena of Pokemon. They just wanted him to be over, no matter what, and he's never ever been heel until now. I'm turning Charizard heel. Okay, Charizard's gonna hoof Mewtwo in the ball bag, and we're all gonna have to enjoy it.
Well, Charizard himself tried making himself out as a heel. He didn't want to listen to his trainer. He didn't want to do anything, and everyone was still like, "Oh, this beautiful boy." My gosh, there's other
He
Pokemon
wouldn't
out
do
there.
the job for Magmar either. Shocking.
He wouldn't do the job. That's some Stone Cold Brock Lesnar 2002 stuff. But we digress into a sport that we love. And as we slide across now into our first appearance of our hopefully most famous segment, we are going into the Moan Zone with Tone Zone.
All right. Well, I think it's apt that we spoke about the glory of Team Rocket, and I am going to be starting the first Moan Zone with Tone Zone segment by talking about pricing. And we'll start with the glory of Team Rocket and the prices that we've seen, and how the set is slowly dropping back to normality. Because what we saw on release with boxes going on eBay for 180 plus, 200, 250, for what is essentially at most a 50 to 60 pound box, is absolutely ridiculous. The prices that were on the singles, which were again in the hundreds, absolutely ridiculous. We all know that I spoke a lot about some of the pricing I saw on Whatnot. I think all three of us here witnessed a certain streamer selling packs that sold for £50, I believe, for 2 packs. They were regularly selling for £20 to £30 for 2 packs, which again, ridiculous. Yeah, it's been a fun old year with Pokemon pricing and going back as far as, let's say, Surgeon. So again, not too far. It's only been about 4 or 5 months. But until Surgeon, prices were okay. Some of them were a bit higher, but never to the point where Surgeon and Prismatic, dare I even say that name, got to. But this hobby is meant to be a hobby all about community and togetherness and something fun for us all to get involved in. And as much as people say it is not, it is first and foremost meant to be a child's hobby. Now, the one thing I will agree with is there are no children going out there and buying a booster box. They might buy an ETB at best, but they ain't buying big booster boxes. So I hear that part from adults. I hear that. I get that. However, having it at the prices they're set is, in my opinion, diabolical to the community. It is ripping people off. It is ruining people in this hobby, and it is not fair. And that's where you get onto the conversation that a lot of people that follow me on Insta have seen my little rants during work where I talk about the argument between who is at fault. Is it the buyer? Is it the seller? And I think the argument has to finish up on it is both, because we've both been there when we've jumped. We've all been in there when we're jumping in and out of Whatnot streams, and I, for one, especially this year, have been very vocal against sellers that are selling for overprices, starting packs at £15 plus, which is ridiculous. And the whole chat comes for me. I've been body shamed, I've been ridiculed, I've been swore at, I've been blocked before anyone said anything. But when you're blocked on Whatnot, you can still sit in the stream. You just can't do anything. So I sat there hearing myself get slandered and I can't say anything, and watching the chat update and calling me all sorts of names. But yeah, really strong move to block me so that I can't defend myself. But yeah, the pricing is ridiculous. What has been good is seeing some normality. Journey Together was a set that I wasn't even planning on collecting, and now I'm aiming for Master Set because there's been availability, there's been decent pricing, even in the singles game. It's been such a breath of fresh air, and if I'm honest, it's revitalised my love for collecting, because during Prismatic, I was close. I was close to breaking point with the pricing and the ridiculousness and just the greed that you see in some members of the community. And that is the stuff that I am fighting against, that greed.
I 100. There is not a word that has come out of your mouth that I could argue with, especially if I try and recap really quickly, and then we'll get Ed's take on it. Whatnot pricing. It's definitely a combination of the two, and for me, as somebody that streams every Friday on Instagram, I lead my chat or my conversation. I hate calling it chat. You are people. You are valued, and I love you for who you are. You are not just some mindless drones that type away for the sake of my entertainment. I always try and lead everybody. I try and keep them in a constant state of following along with what we're doing alongside, so that everybody can get involved. And for me, if you're allowing people that you know or know that follow you or are a community fan base of yourself, and you're allowing them to run things up that realistically, like, I get it, FOMO, it happens. When my friends go out and they go and enjoy the beach and I'm stuck doing a 12-hour shift in a supermarket, I've got FOMO. I feel like I'm missing out. I feel like I'm not having fun. When I don't get my Destined Rivals pre-order and you guys do, I miss out and I feel sad. But it doesn't mean that I'm then going to go and be like, oh, well, there's somebody selling an ETB for $349.99 on eBay, so I'll definitely buy that because that's a banging deal. No, that's stupid. And unfortunately, there are people that will do that, that will run this hobby into the ground. But for conversation on this one streamer, and I don't want to spend too much time on it because it's not worth the air that comes out of my face, if you cannot lead your chat, and you cannot stop them or say, you know, I know that everybody's really excited, guys, but let's try and cap this at £10 to £20. Yes, you are overpaying slightly, but obviously if you want it as a pre-release, no worries. At least then you've made a conceited effort to lead your guys to not overspend, and then when they do overspend, laugh at them for spending it.
Absolutely.
Or going, don't worry, guys, there's booster boxes in the shop, and I go in the shop and I see you've got a Japanese booster box of Glory of Team Rocket for £275. I wouldn't
Ridiculous.
ever pay 275 quid for a booster box unless it was vintage of an era that's around that. You know, we're talking Sword and Shield kind of money at that point. Anything further back than that, with the X and Y and Sun and Moon, you're going to pay more. Obviously, things get more expensive as they get older. It's no different to bloody furniture. It's outrageous, and I think that there are some wonderful, wonderful people and whatnot. There are some beautiful, beautiful sellers that will always work out deals and sort out their community, but there are a few that ruin it for the many, as they do in all ways.
There are a lot of bad eggs on that platform, unfortunately, and it's driven some good eggs. Now, I'm very big-headed with myself, but I consider myself one of the good eggs. But a lot of my friends, including someone we already mentioned, Poker Chris, who's taken a step back, because it's a toxic atmosphere on there, and it's really unfortunate that genuine people are getting pushed away from that platform, because it's one of the things that really boosted me in this community. But I had to turn away because it can be such a toxic place, and it's very unfortunate. But like you said, there are so many people on there that don't lead their chat like people like Chris did. Because Chris, when Journey Together packs were getting over £5, and that's £5, which is very cheap for a pack on whatnot. He was like, guys, stop, relax. I've got loads of packs, and the guy that we're talking about had boxes and boxes of packs behind him, piled up, and he's letting them go for like 20 to 50 quid for 2 packs. Ridiculous. You need to be telling your chat to stop. You need to relax, and you need to not let that negative buying atmosphere overtake your stream. And it's exactly what they're doing, because they're just there for the money.
Yeah.
I think you've hit it on you've hit the nail on the head, as it's easy for me to say. That, you know, Chris is a phenomenal, unfortunately he's no longer on there, is a phenomenal streamer, was a phenomenal streamer, and led his chat and was really, really good with going, £7, that's too much, I'll throw in a card. Yep. You know, and just little things like that. So if you're going on whatnot, and this is again, we're bringing you in, me and you here, and you're doing that, I'm going to send Eddie round and he's going to fold your frying pan. Now, Eddie, I would love, because obviously you're a very analytical mind, which we will get onto after the Moan Zone, how you feel about when you see this kind of thing within your community.
I mean, you guys have hit the nail on the head from the off that FOMO is one hell of a drug. The thing that also gets me is that it's the whole idea of there's the lack of like patience for it. Obviously, I would love to be able to get a booster box of Glory of Team Rocket for 50, 60 quid, as it should be, rip it on release day, have a whale of a time, pull none of the cards that I want, but absolutely enjoy the process. But the thing that really sort of gets me is that for the sake of a couple of weeks, a couple of months at most, you will be able to get this stock. You don't need to do this. I also fully agree that there is a duty of care from like whatnot streamers, particularly these ones that have the big like presences and profiles behind them. Because I mean, the amount of times I've been in a stream and say someone's been looking at, let's take 151 as an example, the biggest set that has gone absolutely rampant and crazy for ages, even though like I came back to the hobby only in October last year. I know that I would go into Smith's Toys when I was looking to get other things, and I'd see 151 ETBs, UPCs, everything just piled up. No one was buying it. Obviously, now that time's gone, everyone goes crazy for it. The Blastoise EX SIR, roughly £60 it should go for. You'll see it in these whatnot streamers because a particular YouTuber, person with an Instagram presence, whatever, has touched said card. That will now go for £100. It's like, unless I am planning on like cloning you or using that DNA for other nefarious things, like I do not understand why the fact that this card has been in your presence, I am now going to pay 1.5 to 2 times market for it. Same.
Yeah, but he breathed on it once, so it's now, you know, 50 quid more expensive. That is literally where we're at, and I fully agree with you.
It's just ludicrous, and it's the same with packs as well. It's like rip and shippers. I do not understand it myself, because you pay more for the pack because it's on whatnot anyway. You then have to, like, you don't even get the joy of opening the pack yourself. everyone says like, oh yeah, it's the community aspect of it. It's like that's only great on the rare occasion that you pull something. If you don't, you're then like outed on the internet of paying £10 for a pack of Paradox Rift, and the best thing that you've got is like a Pidgey. Like it's not good. I do not understand it. The only time I will ever sort of get on side with that is if it's something that is particularly hard to obtain myself. But again, you see people doing the 151 or Crown Zenith box breaks, goes for absolutely absurd amounts of money, and you're just sat there like, you could have actually just bought the single that you were after instead of wasting all of this money to get a few reverse hollows.
Yeah. Yeah.
I before we do move on to the next section of basically complaining about the thing that we love, do you know my number one pet hate with Whatnot? And it's ripping shippers, but it's going into streams with people that I love, like Jake Pokemart Cards, an absolutely lovely lad, a fantastic streamer. Shout out to Jake. But every time I go in his stream, I'm a little bit tempted by some Silver Tempest or some Fusion Strike, because I know that Lugia and Gengar are a thing. They are Pokemon that have been made, and they're very expensive cards. I also very much love the Regidrago from Silver Tempest. Now, I'm lucky enough to have fantastic card with the little Lugia in the background. Mwah, magnifique, my compliments to the sheaf. But every time I go on there, right, I will watch people pull SIR after AR after SIR after IR after expensive card, and I walk away with things like this, like a full art trainer that's worth less than the shipping for the pack. It frustrates me. Now I'm not complaining, because I enjoy being in those streams with people that actually talk to their community that are in there at the time. I'm not going to call them chat. I'm not going to suffer that fate.
Now,
But
there's a fine line there, Mush, and I think there's, just to make the last moan so that we can get onto more positive things, there's chatting to your community, but there are some phrases that we cannot stand. If we hear, "Don't sleep, chat, don't sleep," I'm clicking off.
oh god, I have nightmares.
I'm clicking off. Like, you're making me sleep. I don't want to hear it. We are here for you and for your stock. If we're not paying, it's because you're not motivating us or your stock is shit. We're not sleeping. You are. Go update your stock.
It's a big gripe I have with. Now, I think all of us can safely say that we probably watch at least 5 to 10 of the same Pokemon-based channels. And big ones like PokeRev, and again, I'm not taking shots at you, Rev, if you'll ever see this tiny podcast from somewhere in England, but every time I watch him open a box, and Lucky J said this on his YouTube channel, it's like he opens a box and he pulls a really cool full art, and it's just like, oh yeah, I got it.
Oh, amazing.
And it goes on the floor, and he's like, oh well, in a PSA 10 it's worth $300, which would be sick, but it's not. So move on. And it's like, it's the same on Whatnot. Somebody going, don't sleep on this card, because in a PSA 10 it's worth this, and I'm like, yeah, but it looks like you gave it to your dog for 15 minutes, and now you want me to pay £25 for it.
That's the next next saying I've got on my notes is, so and so is this much in a PSA 10. I don't care how much it is. You're giving it to me raw, and if I like it raw, I don't want to pay too much. All right.
I've just found the first clip for the Pokepals Instagram page. You're giving it to me raw.
If I like it, I will pay.
I'll like it and pay raw, and I'll pay good for it raw. But don't hit me up with it's a PSA 10. All right. Don't sugarcoat it.
Don't. What Tone is trying to say to you is that he likes it raw. Please don't protect your cards. Give it to him raw. No protection necessary in Tone's household.
No protection necessary from me. Love it all.
It's a beautiful way, I think, to step out of the moan zone while we laugh ourselves in, and we move in to the more. And again, we talked about money and numbers, which is what we're going to move into now, as we move into our middle segment of the episode, where we get away from all the funny stuff and away from all the serious stuff, and we break it down with the strongest analytics with Eddie. Now, Eddie, if you want to take it away and run us through what you're doing is Heatwave Arena this week.
Absolutely, yeah. So
we're gonna do that one. So Eddie, if you want to take it away.
So today, guys, we're spotlighting the Japanese set Heatwave Arena, or SV9A for those set code sticklers out there. You know who you are. It dropped in Japan on the 14th of March, and UK collectors have been snapping up boxes and singles like absolute hotcakes. So, in this segment, we're going to dig into the prices of not only the booster boxes themselves, but also some of the big singles from the set. At launch, Heatwave Arena boxes hit the UK for £90 to £110, which, again, for Japanese booster boxes, is a bit absurd, but such is the demand of the market. What we have to take into account there is that Prismatic Evolution, we can all agree, was an absolute disaster of a set release. So everybody turned to Terrestrial Festival. I myself got 2 booster boxes of Terrestrial Festival, enjoyed opening them, got a couple packs of Prismatic, cried. But as a result of that, a lot of people started moving into Japanese as a booster box, as a viable alternative that's more readily available. You get the guaranteed hits, which is something that, obviously, the only thing you're guaranteed when you buy an English booster box is that you've spent far too much money. Just to spotlight where we are in terms of booster box prices at the moment. Prices are ranging from £80 up to £100 for some of the more well-known retailers that, like we talked about previously in the whatnot section, they do charge a bit more, but it's because of who they are. Not going to name names in this segment, but there are cheaper alternatives out there. Go for the smaller companies. They're the ones that are going to be very transparent. They're not going to rip you off, and they are the ones that are absolutely credits to the community and that will be around in the future. Everyone's going after these quick cash grabs at the moment. These are the guys that will be here to stay because they love it. They're doing it for the love of the cards, the collecting, the community, not just this quick cash grab, and then I'll move on to Labubu's. So, in terms of art rare singles from this set,
I have to interrupt, right? How can we go from talking about analytics to just completely going across and going, and once you finish completing this, please bugger off and collect furry little friends? What a segment! If you do collect Labubus, enjoy it, but please stop trying to compare it to TCG Collection, okay? They're next door, you can go there. Take them with you. Sorry, Ed. Please carry on.
So, just going to dive into a couple of the bigger art rares and then the secret art rare chase cards from the set. So, Misty Psyduck, upon launch, was hovering around the £40 to £45 mark on eBay. Again, prices fluctuate, so I've taken an average here. Obviously, on release date or even pre-release, as you will see, some whatnotters, especially in Glory of Team Rocket, this is how we saw the set artworks release far before we actually should have. You'd see that these prices could fluctuate up to around the £60 mark. The current UK market at the moment is hovering at £15 to £25, depending on condition, the seller, and also just any additional fees. So the big thing here, again, is that sense of nostalgia that we're all chasing ultimately, as Pokemon collecting for me personally is enjoying the things that I enjoyed as a kid, as an adult, and actually having the money to enjoy the hobby to the fullest instead of just picking up the one odd booster pack every now and then. Misty Psyduck as a card is absolutely beautiful, has a charming illustration, the overall framing, the artwork is fantastic, and I can see why this is such a big chase for the set, and considering it's just an art rare, it's a very nice one and viable one to pick up for your collection without breaking the bank. Then we move into Ethan's Typhlosion. This is a card I am very fortunate to have pulled myself from one pack I won in a giveaway. Shout out to ET Pokemon Collection. I'm sorry if I hurt you, bro. With this card, it is an absolutely stunning piece of art. The fact that it's a very dynamic art scene, the colours are vibrant, it absolutely pops. And when I opened it, I actually had to stop and take a second and actually just really take it all in, because what a card it is. At launch price,
Great card.
surprisingly, it hovered around the £30 to £40 mark, which I was actually quite surprised by, given the fact that Typhlosion is such an iconic Pokemon. Again, another starter end evolution, so it has that sort of factor going for it. It's now hovering, again, similar sort of vein, slightly less than the Misty Psyduck, hovering at £13 to £20 again, dependent on condition and location. It has the classic Johto starter pull, and that's a huge hit with collectors. As we all know, everyone's got their first generation, and Typhlosion, what a cool Pokemon it is. when we start moving into the secret art rare chase cards of the set, the real top tier treasures here, Ethan's Ho-Oh EX. So UK eBay sales for recent transactions that have actually completed hover around the £120 to £150 mark. The early hype actually pushed this card over the £200 mark, and it held for a surprisingly long amount of time. Whether you love or hate the card, as I know we have differences of opinions here.
I don't hate the card. Stop making me out to be a hater of the card. All right, I didn't like it at the start, but
Yeah.
I did. I'll hold my hands up. I am an honest mush. Okay, I did not enjoy it at the start, but it has grown on me, and I think seeing. I have to say, I hated on the Japanese, and then the English came out, and then immediately my brain went, actually, the Japanese is really good, and you need to say sorry to a few people. It's fine. I will humble myself. But yeah, I think also, Ed, I just want to interrupt through my own interrupt. You've pulled Gengar, the VMAX, and then the Ethan's Typhlosion. Have at any point you managed to sit down and catch your breath yet? Because I would be bouncing off of the walls. But yes, the Ho-Oh is
Rumour has
fantastic.
it he just got Chris's hands and just rubbed his against his and just boom. Got these packs.
Took them off and took them home, and now he opens packs using them.
Every morning before I open a pack, I look in the mirror and say 3 Hail Chris's.
Just dyed a little bit of your hair ginger and just like sit at the right angle so you look like Chris. See, I look like Chris in here.
It's just that scene in the morning where Ed's brushing his teeth. He opens up the cabinet, closes it, and Chris is behind him in the mirror.
Just looking in the mirror, proper eye contact, just like, what would Chris do? And
it's like Candyman, but when he appears, a hand comes over your shoulder and just hands you a pack, and then he disappears.
It's like that scene from Ghost. I'll be opening a pack, and suddenly the hands will come round my waist, and it'll open for me.
And then it'll do Chris's absolutely demonic laugh and then leave. Have either of you heard Chris laugh on a voice note? I'm sure you have in the group chat.
Oh yeah. He can't do a voice note without a cackle.
There are witches that are trying to take over entire cities that do not cackle like Chris, and it is a beautiful, beautiful thing. We do love you, Chris.
This poor man is going to be so excited for this episode to come out, and he's like, "Oh, they're shouting me out." Wait, 1 minute. 1 minute.
He's been saying all day how he's like, yes, finally we're getting a proper podcast and not just the live streams. Can't wait. And then he's going to get to this segment and think we're all bigging him up. And then at the end, it's like, do you hear how he's laugh? What a muppet. Anyway, regardless of the fact that Chris has the hottest hands and can't help but pull everything, Ethan's Ho-Oh.
Yeah, so whether you love it or you're mush, this card debuted at around £200 and has held fairly strong. It's dropped sort of £40 to £50, which is to be expected. What will be quite interesting to see, particularly around the SARs, is when Destined Rivals drops fully, do we see the sort of prismatic pull rates, or are we going to see more of a Journey Together pull rate? If we see the Journey Together pull rate, the Japanese prices will absolutely nosedive as it will become super common. People won't actually be looking to seek it out. If we get the more prismatic side of things, then obviously, like we saw with the Umbreon EX, the price will absolutely skyrocket, which for Japanese cards, I absolutely love them personally, quality-wise, texture, quality control, all far beat English. I buy the artwork, not the wording. But I feel like what happened with Umbreon especially was absolutely obscene. A Japanese chase card debuting at sort of £450 to £500 is absolutely obscene.
Mental.
Truly, truly obscene. Which makes me kind of excited, as like Tone said earlier. I really feel like Journey Together was almost a rebirth, a fresh start for the TCG side of things. And if we can see those pull rates continue into Destined Rivals, I should say, it gives us a bit more of an opportunity to actually see what the current state of Pokemon is, where we predict the market will be going, and also will it make Japanese the cheaper alternative that the likes of Korean and simplified Chinese are at the moment. I'm a big fan of all of them. Again, I've got a lot of my big chase cards in other languages purely because they were the more affordable way of getting these big chases, as they are retrospective ones for myself, where it's collecting things like the Giratina V Alt Art from Lost Origin. I have that in simplified Chinese. I paid £70 for it as opposed to 500 raw.
I have to, especially as you bring up the opposite language kind of idea. I am exactly the same at the moment. Although I haven't gone as far as to go for simplified Chinese or Korean, I do like the look of a lot of them. But Japanese, definitely, since coming back into the TCG and this year especially, I have managed to pick up a lot of what have been my. I don't want to say chases, because I think my chases change as we evolve and we go from set to set. There are cards here and there that I will, especially older cards and newer cards. I'm like, oh, this like End Zoroark that I pulled today, the EX full art from Journey Together. It's a beautiful card, and I love Zoroark. I especially love Hisuian Zoroark, which I didn't know about the V-Star full art, which again I picked up in a PSA 10 in Japanese recently, until a few weeks ago.
Artwork.
It's I actually have it to hand, so I'm just gonna
Look at that.
It's an absolute beauty. But again, the joy I have is finding older cards and newer cards that I can chase now. I completed Arbok, I got one of every card, and it's a really, really nice feeling to go around and like learn about sets that I've missed while I've been out of the hobby. And is the same with Japanese and Korean and simplified Chinese, is that there are things like the Giratina Lost Origins Alt Art, which is a phenomenal card.
Absolutely.
Is having the opportunity to actually own one and not have to remortgage the house, sell my dog and a kidney to be able to afford it. You know, it's a really, really beautiful thing.
No, fully, and it's something that I've also looked to do, where collecting the recent sets, it all started with Surgeon Sparks, realistically. It had an okay launch, and then getting hold of it was a absolute nightmare.
Unless you're JD cards.
Yeah, who seems to have Surging Sparks built into the walls of his kitchen.
But with that in mind, I actually looked to complete a Shinji Kanda artist set. I think, what an incredible artist.
Ooh,
I now own all of
yeah.
the artworks. On my YouTube, you'll see me hunting for the Magikarp from Triplet Beat. I did this in Korean booster boxes, as it took a fair few attempts. I'll give you a little spoiler there. And there was no way I was going to be paying £90 to £100 per Japanese booster box on the off chance at pulling the one card I needed from the set. So enjoy that. Watch me, a grown man, come to tears multiple times. But yeah, I found that doing an artist set collection was an absolutely fantastic and enjoyable way of, again, like Mush said, appreciating sets that you missed out on, but also looking at Pokemon artworks that you never would have before. Like, there's an absolutely incredible Girafarig artwork from Shinji Kanda. I'll hold my hands up. I don't know anybody whose favourite Pokemon is Girafarig. No disrespect. I can't see it myself. Same with Bronzong. Same with some other Pokemon. And then you see an incredible basic artwork for the likes of Absol. Pretty fan favourite Pokemon. This artwork in particular, very reminiscent of like a Prime card. That's just a basic, and that's something that I would have overlooked and missed out on if it wasn't for me looking at collecting like the artist set and differentiating my sort of collecting portfolio.
I feel like in my brain there's a Survivor that Shinji Kanda done.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah, I knew something about Pokemon. Officially, this podcast is worth filming now. I have, or had, when I lived in actual Bournemouth town centre before I moved out into the further sticks of Dorset, there is a shop called Trove. Wonderful shop. If you're ever over there, please go over there. The guys that work there are lovely. I love those guys. They are phenomenal. But they've got a room just full of bulk commons, uncommons, reverses, hollows, full arts, trainer guide, everything. It's just all out. And I saw that Survivor card and it was like 10, 20p. And I was like, I'm buying that because I just love that artwork. And annoyingly, because we've moved house, it's somewhere where I've got loads of them all squared out and in a frame. I've got like a frame of just cards that I really like. But that one and Yukamori, the claymation. They're phenomenal. They are phenomenal. My friend Jordan, shout out to my friend Jordan. He introduced me to them, and it's one that I never thought I'd really like, but I really love the way he's done them. All the cast forms, They are
Yeah.
brilliant. I don't know why, out of all the ones, because there's like the Minchinos and a few others that I really like that are quite cute, but all the cast form cards I think are phenomenal.
And you can't speak about Yukimori without mentioning the Ditto Charmander, Squirtle, Pikachu cards.
Yeah.
Ditto
Absolutely incredible artist. Mrs. Strongman is working her way through collecting them, which is great because it's like, oh, fine, we'll go into the Pokemon shop for you, not me. I'm doing this as a favour to you, my love.
Oh, I can't believe you're making me go in the card. Oh, I get another one.
If I have to, okay.
And I think. Oh no, please don't make me. Before we do wrap up and move on, Ed, have you got anything to end this segment on?
One last spotlight card from the set is the Cynthia's Garchomp EX. Currently the most valuable card in the set, understandably, when you see that artwork. Absolutely incredible. The whole framing of it, Cynthia's posing, the Garchomp action shot. Absolutely a perfect example, in my opinion, of what a chase card should be. This debuted in the UK market at £240 to £280, so quite a wide range, nearing that £300 mark, so not a million miles away from the Umbreon Terrestrial Festival. But again, I think that this is almost a bit of the residual hangover that trying to get like the latest sets, the big chase cards, and everyone wants to be the first person to say that they own that card in particular.
Yes.
It's now dropped a fair amount. It's hovering at £130 to £180. The £130 mark is if you are looking to buy it through eBay but get it shipped over from Japan, so you eat into like the savings with the additional sort of potential taxes and also the long delivery times. But to summarise, whether you're in it for the artwork, the thrill of the chase, or the potential returns, Heatwave Arena itself is a fantastic set that I'm looking forward to collecting as part of Destined Rivals. In my opinion, it has the potential to be one of the strongest Japanese sets of the year. I think the fact that it carries on the partners Pokemon, which, as Mush said earlier, Gym Challenge, Gym Heroes, I don't know a single person that doesn't love that set. And
Honestly.
I can see when Destined Rivals does finally release in the UK and worldwide that if the pull rates are similar to what we've seen in Journey Together, we will see a nosedive in the prices for both the booster boxes and the cards, and that might actually even tempt me into trying to complete a Japanese master set for the first time. So I am very optimistic that if Pokemon continue the way that they've gone following the Journey Together release, it will be much more acceptable to collectors, to kids, to TCG players, which is only ever a good thing. And ultimately, those that want to be in the collecting hobby and the playing for the long haul, it doesn't matter about the short-term value of these cards, because like everything, it will increase over time, not just a quick flip.
Oh, yes.
I definitely, with conversations that I've had with you guys and with others in the group chat, have desperately wanted to rip a Heatwave box. And going back to Cynthia's Garchomp, I wonder if you guys agree with me, because I was thinking about this earlier when I was having a flick through, because I knew we were going to come up with this one. Do you think Cynthia's Garchomp is reminiscent of the Garchomp V from the Sword and Shield era? Do you know the one I'm on about? That's got Cynthia in the front of it as well. It's a phenomenal card, and I saw Lucky J earlier. I was watching one of his YouTube videos, and he pulls it, and I was instantly taken aback to when I first saw that card. And it's phenomenal, and that Cynthia's Garchomp from Heatwave has that same effect.
It looks
on me.
as though it could be a continuation of the scene, that's almost like the start of the gym battle, and then this is the action shot from it. I mean, like you say, the fact that Garchomp's position behind us so like large, it really gives the sort of scale and the gravity of the pseudo legendary, and then seeing it action shot again, similar to like we've seen with the Nido King from Glory of Team Rocket. I love seeing a Pokemon actually doing one of its moves, and it looks as though it's doing something like that, which I am a massive fan of.
Oh, yes.
That is definitely so. There's an Excadrill card somewhere. It's just a common, but it looks like it's using Drill Run, and I'm there for it all the time. And as we come out of the analytical stuff and we talk about cards that we own and we like, I think it's very apt that we segue into a segment of ours that we're going to bring back every week that is titled This Little Card of Ours, where every week we will present a card to you, the viewers here, and we will put it to the vote. and you will vote for the favourite card that you've seen. So if, for instance, Ed cards win this week, next week Ed will have to bring the same card on, and myself and Tone will have to change cards and bring a new card up, and we will have a forever running statement of this is the best card that has been shown that week. Now, I have had a big conversation with the Turban before we started filming about what to bring on, and I'm staying true to my baby. So for week 1, episode 1 of this little card of ours, I am bringing on the Arbok IR from Wild Force. I love Arbok, and this card is fantastic. It's about time that my favourite Pokemon got more love, and this is a beautiful full art. It did get a full art EX in 151, which I actually argue is probably the best one from 151 because of its colour scheme. The Charizard, the Blastoise, and the Venusaur all look very basic with their red behind Charizard, blue behind Blastoise, etc. But this is the kind of IR that I'm here for. I own like 5 or 6 of them now, but this is where I go for. So if you want to vote for Mush, you'll vote for Mush's Arbok. Ed, who have you got this week?
So I have probably cheated ever so slightly, but I've gone for a PSA 10 Giratina from Lost Origin, or Lost Abyss in Japanese. I went for this one because Giratina is by far my favourite legendary Pokemon. The fact that it is literally the Pokemon Devil doesn't get more metal than that. I think that is so cool. The fact it's in the Origin form as well, so very serpent-like. The colour scheme, everything about it, I think is just fantastic. And the fact that this is just a standard sort of full art, not even a special illustration, I think that this is just an absolute thing of beauty that I'm so happy to own in a PSA 10.
And thank you ever so much, Ed. Now, the man who needs no introduction, obviously, has got a very peculiar favourite, but we shall see what he brings. Tone, your little card of yours for this week is
my peculiar favourite. I have gone for this lovely unknown altar from Silver Tempest. It was the set that actually got me back into collecting. A very good friend of mine, Trainer Marley, he was on Whatnot himself, and the very first thing I bought coming back into this was a Silver Tempest ETB from him, because he told me, you like Unknown, this set has Unknown, you should buy it. And the very first pack he pulled for me was the Unknown full art. Sorry, not the full art. He got me the V-Star card, the one where it looks like it's flying through like a vortex. And then he told me about this one, and I had to get my hands on it. It's such a stunning card, and it is beautifully extended in a Kanto Forge display case, as you can see, which just adds that extra pop. But this is one of my grails in my collection, one of my favourite cards, and you can see I've got it in English and in Japanese just behind in another Kanto Forge case just up there, and I love it. So I had to start the first week off with this.
I mean, I can't argue with you. And also, if you want a Kanto Forge, TZ10. Use Tone's code. Go and spend money there and get cool things for your Pokemon cards. I'd like to say it's going to be a tight contest, but I feel like I'm probably going to lose. But that's absolutely fine, because next week I will come back with a bang.
I was quietly confident that I'm going to bring a really decent card, but I also know A, Unknown is not the most loved, and B, both of your cards are stunning in their field. Like, it's a tough week.
You say that, but I am very aware that Arbok isn't as popular as Giratina, and the Unknown, it's a phenomenal artwork. But we never know. We never know.
As is the Arbok artwork, because, correct me if I'm wrong, that's Temporal Forces, and that was one of the biggest cards that was popular, because I was on Whatnot when Temporal came out, so I sold a lot of it. And I know in my little community I had, loads of people were chasing that card. Again, it's a 151 classic.
Yeah,
so
it's
everyone
true.
Loves it.
We shall see. We shall see. I'll try not to have a meltdown about losing too early on.
Unknown, guys.
Yeah. If you guys want to join in with the vote and you've seen us here on YouTube, you can come over to my Instagram at @poke_mush, and I will be running a poll for them. I don't know what day, but you'll see it. We'll have lovely pictures of all three of us with our cards, looking very handsome with our cardboard, and you can vote over there. Hopefully I'll figure out how you can do polls on YouTube, and I'll get one going down here as well. But that was our little card of ours, and we move into our final segment, a little quick fire round we're going to do as we head off for the afternoon, where we do unpopular Pokemon opinions. Now, I will read out an unpopular opinion given to us by you, the viewers and the voters, and the boys will basically give me a yes or no, or what the actual are they thinking. And I've written them all down and then done it completely random because I have terrible handwriting and wrote them on post-it notes. So I'm going to pick up one random one and we're just going to go ahead. Now, I think the first one from Popular Opinions is actually pretty good for all three of us. So, would you agree or would you not agree? Charizard is overrated.
Agree.
Agreed.
That is very easy. Thank you ever so much for whoever sent that one. Number 2, and I think this one is one that we've actually touched on today so far, but adults have ruined Pokemon for the kids. I don't particularly agree wholeheartedly, but I can see the point.
It's a bit more convoluted than that, I think. I don't think adults have ruined it. I think scalpers have ruined some of the hobby. But I wouldn't say adults have ruined it. I think there's still a lot of adults that positively support getting the younger generations into this hobby as well. So, bit difficult.
I'm going to say disagree as well because there's so much more to Pokemon than just the cards, and also the cards that I have. If I ever have kids, that the cards will go to them. So it's like that's an adult feeding into the child collector, and ultimately I wouldn't have got into Pokemon if my parents didn't buy me Pokemon cards as a kid. So
Yeah, I agree. Again, I do get it. I see where the point comes from. But, you know, if my mum hadn't bought me the Pikachu Special Edition Game Boy with Pokemon Yellow, the little yellow and blue one with Pichu and Pikachu on, I wouldn't be here today talking absolute rubbish to you on the internet about shiny cardboard. So, not an agree for the second one. Number 3, and this is one that I stand by every week. Moonbryon is the most overrated card in Pokemon history.
Yes!
And I massively agree. I agree. I strongly agree. It's awful.
could not agree more.
It's not an awful card. It's a phenomenal artwork, but it is so blown out the water.
Absolutely. I say this every time I see that card. The card that has been dubbed by a few people in the community I know as Starebryon, the one where it's sitting at the top of the stairs looking down.
Much better. So much
better
Yeah.
card. And that card deserves the love that Moonbryon gets. Moonbryon
Absolutely.
is a okay card, but so overrated.
I think
So
we can agree that is a £200 card that people only love because it's upwards of £1,000. Like, if you took the price tag off it, people would not care.
I wouldn't want to pay triple figures for that card.
No.
Let alone
I think if I was going to buy that card, it'd have to be in pristine 10 condition, and even then I'd still be like, I'm not giving you £1,000.
I'd give you a
There are
tenner and a
cards-
bag of crisps.
I'd give you a handshake and some. I'd give you a handshake and some financial advice.
I would move all your furniture for a week.
I would unfold 3 of your frying pans.
But I get to pick.
So yes, I think we can all agree on that one. Number four, and this is one that when I read it, I was like, I don't really get that, but now when I look back, it kind of makes sense. Grade guards are dumb. You're protecting your protected cards. Now, I don't disagree, but I don't agree. I'm in the middle because I have I have one here. I've got a card in a grade guard that I got. It came with the card. I really like it because it goes really well with the card. But otherwise, I wouldn't care, if that makes sense. So that's how I feel about it.
I'll let it start, yeah.
Yeah, that's a tough one because, like, say if you have a tag slab, the strongest to wind will break that, so a guard is probably a fundamental requirement. I'm going to disagree just because I really like the ones, particularly when you have an ace graded card with the ace label and you can get a silicone cover that not only protects that card but also matches the extended artwork and the artwork of the card itself. I actually think that looks great, and I've even seen these acrylic cases that you can slide your graded card into that basically makes it bulletproof, and it's something I've actually considered getting for my Gengar VMAX Alt Art from Fusion Strike. Just name drop that there.
Which Ace should have given a 10, so Randy Next time, yeah. Come on, bro. I've dropped me. Oh no, I've dropped my Arbok. My Arbok's gone. I've released
Save
it
the
into the
Arbok.
wild.
I am
I've got
going
it,
to
don't
say that I probably agree. Um, if you didn't already know, to anyone listening and watching, I'm not a big slab collector. I like my cards raw, as you heard me say earlier, and I think where is protection too much? Because you're protecting it in a slab, and then you're going to put a cover over it. And some of these covers you can find, as Ed said, there's multiple ones you can get. There's some which is literally a full case, like your back and a front to it. And then are you going to get a grade guard for the case that protects your slab? Are you then going to get a bag to protect that? Like, when is too much? You got people that have got suitcases that protect their slabs, and it's just like, oh my goodness. For me, it is just someone that wants to again make money off cards sometimes. Now, I know that is also a wild take, but I think you're already protected in a slab. Enjoy it as is. But I
Fair
will
enough.
agree
Fair
with
enough.
Ed's point. The ones that match the colour of the card, I'm a bit intrigued by them.
Fair points all round. I wonder if you could tell me who gave me this one, and I'm sure you probably get it very quickly. But only soy boys like waifu cards, which I
That's a
strongly
Ross
agree with.
question if I've ever heard on.
Shout out to Mew22. What an absolute legend. Yeah, I'm just going to agree with it, get you both to agree with it, and we'll move on.
Deal.
Yeah. I agree.
If anyone wondering, soy boy is a Scottish term of endearment, apparently, I've been told. Moving
I will
on.
happily extend that question, however, for another wild take that's going to upset a lot of collectors. I'm not a big fan of trainer cards. I don't play the game. So, unless it's a trainer I like, I think it's
Fair.
sometimes a waste of a card.
I think there's a few that I like because of the artwork, but I don't really care about. Again, I say I don't care about it. I don't play the TCG, therefore its effect that it can have in game means nothing to me. I'm just
Same.
there for the artwork. I'm basically a poor version of somebody that collects paintings. So yeah, that's that.
Same.
We move.
I was just going to say, I think we can all agree as well, the absolute blue balling that you get when you see a little glimmer of something shiny when you're ripping at a pack and you're like, oh, there's something in here. And then you pull Volo from Lost Origin for the 8th time. If I ever see the designer, it's on site. That's all I'm saying.
That frying pan is getting folded. This one, again, when I read it, I didn't agree with it. But the more it goes down the line, I get it. But I still will be saying that I disagree with it. And that is, Prismatic Evolutions is a good set, and people are just annoyed about scalping, and that has soured them.
Disagree.
Disagree.
Disagree. It is a set that is reprinted cards with a PRE on it instead of the original set. It is a set with really poor rates, really high prices, and was really detrimental to this community. Piss poor set.
I also feel for a set that has that many chase cards in it, the fact that you can't pull any of them realistically is
I'm
just...
sorry, I don't want a set with all SIRs. Give me my illustration wares back, please.
I
I'm
again.
going to start ranting again. This is not my segment.
We're not in the moan zone anymore. I do get it, and I do agree with the person that said it, is that it got scalped beyond belief, and that it did sour a lot of people, myself included. I didn't collect any of Prismatic, and I didn't really care about the set. I didn't want 8 SIRs. Like you, I really enjoy the joy of having a big hit or 2 or 3 big hits, and then some lower end ones that, you know, like me, I could be lucky enough to go and buy a pack and have my moment of being Chris.
But here's the thing, Mush. I would have loved 8 SIRs. All the other SIRs could have been illustration rares. I didn't need 400 SIRs. Ridiculous. Breathe.
And I think the fact that
take a minute.
I think the fact it's a special set as well is something that we often overlook, in the sense of, if you were able to get booster boxes of this, I feel like the sentiment wouldn't be half as bad. But when you're having to pay £30 to £40 for 5 packs that comes with an Eevee ball sack, it's a bit ridiculous.
Yeah, I went into my local shop, shout out Knoxbox in Blandford, and he said, "Oh, I know you don't want any prismatic, but I will ask you because obviously you're a regular. Did you want an Eevee pouch?" And I went, "Let me look at it." And I looked at it, and I chuckled and said that even my missus, who has recently got into TCG collection and enjoys the Eevees, would laugh at me if I handed that to her. So on that very dramatic note, we're going to walk away from traumatic evolutions and move on to a point, and this one I really like because I agree with it. I think even though I love some of the later ones, so let's see what you guys think. The Pokemon video games haven't truly been good since Black and White era. And now, before I let you both answer, because I am an absolute monster for playing the games, I play all of them. Black and White 2 brought me back to Pokemon big time. Now, I played every game up until Black and White 2, but I kind of played some of them with a bit of like I'm just playing it because I like it. It's like buying FIFA every year. You just do it because you know it. Black and White 2 were phenomenal. And then I find that there are a lot of games recently that they just get easier and easier, and they're more applied for newer people. Now, I'm not saying that I totally think that that's true. I think Legends Arceus was a phenomenal game, and if you have any other opinion than that, you can clock out and stop watching now. But I also thought that Scarlet and Violet were good games. I enjoyed them. I enjoyed the open world aspect. Yes, it had its frame rate issues, but I, very luckily, never experienced that. And one day, my 93% shiny living dex will get completed. I don't know where, and I don't know when, but it will. But it's definitely one that I'm interested to hear your guys' take on it. Ed, what do you think?
I couldn't disagree more. I feel like Legends Arceus, one of my, if not my favourite Pokemon game. I feel like they really changed it up with that. When you think of every other Pokemon game, it's like, yes, they add new features, they update like the graphics, they change like the camera angle, all of that stuff. Yeah. Really, it is the same game, cut and paste, just the names, events, and like locations have changed. That's not necessarily a bad thing because it's a formula that's worked for however many years now. But I feel like nostalgia will forever be a real driving force for these things. Because if you think, the stuff that you can do in Arceus, in like Sword and Shield, even Scarlet and Violet, you compare that to what you were doing back in the day of, say, like Pokemon Yellow. If you told that Ed playing that game that one day he'll be flying a Pokemon around the sky, using it to climb rocks, or like catching unknowns hidden throughout like a lush like landscape, and actively like hunting it out, doing all these quests to fight the Pokemon Devil, like I would never believe that was going to be the case. And I feel like the remakes of Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, yes, they sucked the character out of the games completely, but
I'm glad you said that, thank God.
Oh no, absolutely, they were not good games. But when you think of the source material that they adapted it from, when you look back at that, you'd say that those are absolutely phenomenal, rightfully so. But then it's also like there is that hit of nostalgia. Same with Pokemon Stadium. I adore that game. Is it objectively a good game by today's standards? Not at all. But I still love it.
I don't know if I ever have to see Snorlax with its eyes open again. Oh my God. Stoned Venusaur and Snorlax with its eyes open are things that have never left this brain in near 30 years. I really, really, actually, I want to erase my point and go with Ed's point. It was fantastic. I loved Black and White 2, like I said. X and Y, Sun and Moon, didn't really care for. Sword, I really enjoyed. Legends Arceus, I played that game so much that I'm pretty sure that my cartridge of it is burnt out somewhere in a bin. Now, I've put over 1,000 hours into Scarlet. I've played that game to death. But again, if I hadn't got to do what I did on Legends Arceus, I wouldn't have done that on Scarlet. So phenomenal. And again, you bring up a great point about the BDSP and the remakes they did. So many good features added in. Chibi style Pokemon doesn't work. You made Cyrus look like a friggin'... What are those little collectible dolls that everyone gets? Funko Pops. You made Cyrus look like a Funko Pop. You ruined a good villain. You ruined a good villain by making him look like a Funko Pop. Tone, before I go into my own Mushmoan zone, what do you feel?
So this is where everyone's like, "Oh my god, Tone, you're so out of touch." I didn't play a Pokemon game after Ruby and Sapphire. I think I played probably half hour of Pearl, and then I kind of fell off. I got to that phase where I wasn't really into Pokemon as much growing up. After hitting like 12, 13, 14. Um, and then coming back into the community, I was like, I really want to get back into the games. I've got so much I missed out on, so many generations that I only really know because of Pokemon Go, which was a game I did keep up with massively. And to say I was massively pleasantly surprised by starting with Legends Arceus is an understatement. I honestly started with that, and it was the perfect start. I then moved into Violet, and again, from going from what I did red, yellow, gold, I did ruby, and I did do fire red and heart
Leaf green.
gold.
Oh, Heart Gold.
I played them too as well because more for nostalgic reasons. But then coming into that and then coming into Violet and seeing all the different things you could do, I thought it was amazing. And I see what a lot of people that have stuck with it say about Violet and the frame rates. And I'd say my only downside for Violet is what would have made it perfect is if the map was a bit more condensed. I think the map was a bit too big and some of the areas were a bit empty. But
Mm.
the things you could do, the things you would see with a Pokemon running about in both Arceus and Violet
Yeah,
were incredible. And Sword and Shield, because I started playing that after completing Violet. And
yeah.
again, a great game. I still haven't completed Shield. I got to 8 badges. I need to get back into it. But again, I disagree. I think that they're good if you love them.
I think as well that point you touched on around having like the actual Pokemon be visible. So like gone are the days of walking through the like the tall grass
And
looking
not
for
knowing what you're going for.
Mm.
yeah, and actively being able to find the Pokemon that you're after, and also like maybe I'm a bit weird for this, but actually seeing the scale of the Pokemon, like
Yeah.
actually
Oh no, I like that. You're putting onto a good point there.
No,
like
I agree.
absolutely seeing the fact that a Steelix is massive,
Yep.
and then like accidentally standing on like a tiny little like Rabscola or something, and
Yeah.
it's just like having that thing of like it's so much more immersive because you can see the scale of things, you can like see the Pokemon interacting with each other, moving around. That's one of my favorite things in Arceus as well, is like having the alpha Pokemon and then
Oh yeah.
Oh
having
my,
like
yeah.
Yeah.
have the regular version of the Pokemon in your party, throw them out and let them like interact with each other. Like you have your Bibarel, who, let's face it, absolute goat of the alpha Pokemon. You have him next to the standard one, and it's just like this is awesome. Like I
It's
love
epic.
this.
But then there's also going into Violet, and you're able to just have a little picnic and get all your Pokemon out and start playing catch with them,
Oh,
and yeah,
unbelievable.
it's
I
great.
think we're very lucky that, again, like I look at so many different aspects, and again, there have been great games since Black and White, but there have been some naff bads. So, but the little things that you touch on are phenomenal. Like shiny hunting. I'm somebody that used to shiny hunt in Black and White, up and down, hoping you'd get it. And it's like, oh yeah, I've got a shiny Scraggy for the third time, but I just want a Sandile. You know, it's a pain that you never have to experience anymore, and it's very nice. But I do also feel that that's why people like myself end up playing ROM hacks or fan made games, because you look for that difficulty spike, and it's very hard to find a ROM hack that isn't basically either. There are two levels to a ROM hack, right? There are basically the game that you originally played with some added extras because it's fun and we like giving you nice things, and satanic horrible death. There is no middle ground. There is like cute and pink and fluffy and everything's fine. Get in the coffin. That's it. And it's very strange, and it's a good comparison I've done there, because we take us into our final um, unpopular opinion. And this, again, I wonder if you can figure out who sent me this one, and if you get it right, bonus points to you. Pokemon cares more about making cute plushies than cool new monsters. And I couldn't agree more. Gone are the days of Giratina. Gone are the days of scary looking mons like Spiritomb and terrifying things like Gengar and other things like Arbok back in the day in the anime terrified me, especially when it would, just use poison sting or bite and things like that, and it would just look menacing or wheezing when it would fill the screen with smoke, and you'd have no idea where you're going, and you'd have some really scary looking mons. And nowadays it's just like mousehold. I'm just going to say it a third time. Mousehold. That is what you've come up with. I'm outraged. So I couldn't agree more. Ed, how do you feel?
No, I do completely agree. I do feel as though they are slowly starting to pull it back in terms of like the newer Pokemon. I feel like we had a really, really stark dip when you get the likes of Garbodor, which I'm not even going to get into. But
Justice for the bin bag. I got a little love for the bin bag.
But I mean, the fact that they also just called a Pokemon Trubbish, it's like, we can't just call him rubbish, can we? It's like, nah, let's slap a cheeky little T at the start. That is genius, Dave. Here's a promotion.
To be fair, any good day starts with a T at the start.
Facts.
But,
Ed's just looking at me like I'm going to bend all your frying pans.
No, but overall, ultimately, I think it's all plushies in the sense of what is going to look cute or what is going to be appealing to certain individuals that we're not going to go into here, especially with the life-size Pokemon that they've.
So I was going to say, I presume none of you are buying the life-size Gardevoir.
I'd love to, but they're all out of stock. No, I don't. I don't want one. I don't want. Do you know? I saw the evolution ones, and I was like, do you know what? That'd be really cool to have one because they look cool. But as a regular human being outside of being a Pokemon fan, all I could think was my dog is either going to make love to it, or it will sit on a shelf and get dusty, and I'll never care about it.
That's it. I own a very small handful of plushies. One of them's up there because it's unknown. I've got a couple of Squirtles. I've got a Pikachu that I won in a competition. I also have a Chandelure because Chandelure is an awesome Pokemon, and it came as a freebie on the Pokemon Center. That is it. I think the market for plushies is crazy. I totally get that a lot of people in the community are into that, but I think it's ridiculous how many there are now. And again, we spoke about pricing earlier. The prices some of them are. The one life size that I think is awesome, mainly because it's in my top 5 Pokemon, is Arcanine. But I ain't paying £400 for a plushie. I'm not doing it. Ridiculous.
No, I would rather just crossbreed 1,000 dogs until I get one that looks like it. It'd probably be cheaper, weirdly.
It would. Absolutely would.
I also just feel like the amount of like fan-made Pokemon that you see on the internet, like on Reddit and things like that, shows that there are still so many like avenues, potential like things that they could come up with. And like we've seen with the evolutions, the fact that they haven't brought out like a flying type, a dragon type, it's because
a ghost type.
Yeah, anything that the Pokemon company actually come out with is going to be nowhere near what some random person has put on Reddit that is absolutely sublime. So I just feel like they're right. Let's monetize what we've got and rinse it for everything we can instead of coming up with something new and original.
I completely agree, and especially with the Reddit point. Shout out to whatever Reddit user drew the Mega Arbok that I saw recently. You are a king. Thank you for your service. I 100% agree, and I think it's a really good place to end as we cap out and no longer try and talk about how we need more dragon types, bear types, or weird looking lizards. And we can all have an opinion, we can all have an idea, and we can all have a way it would like to go. 2 of my favourite Pokemon are literally reptile looking things. I like a big rock snake and a big literal cobra backwards. So
like
we
letters.
all have a I like letters. We all have an opinion. We all have things we like, and that is why we are here. And for the first run of our Pokepals illustrious Pokemon podcast, it has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you ever so much for joining me, the PokeMush, the Mush who loves them all. The strongest man in Pokemon, that is Eddie. If you haven't already, do go and follow Eddie on YouTube. Go and sub to his channel, and then go and follow all 3 of us on the Instagram, where you can find updates about all of our future episodes that will come out here on the YouTube. Tone, thank you ever so much for joining us as well. Ed, you have been an absolute pleasure to having on. I have been your host with the most, the mouth of the South, and I am going to leave you all with one thought. Make sure that Arbok wins. All right, my card needs to win. When we come back for episode 2, I want to come back with a smile and a grin and feeling like a winner.
You can smile at my unknown, don't worry.
Yeah, I feel like the Kanto Forge might steal it because it looks pretty. Anyway, thank you ever so much to my illustrious guest for joining me this week. We'll see you next week, where we will probably start to talk about other, more important things in the TCG, like how fighting for a pre-order of Destined Rivals wasn't fun, and how the reprints of Traumatic Evolutions are probably going to overtake everything that anybody wants to talk about. I have been your PokeMush. They have been my Pokepals. This has been your Pokemon podcast. And until next week, stay safe. Love you. Bye.
See you later. Bye.